Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Ann Thompson, and I'm the Assistant Director for Public Services here at the Essex Library. And I'm not only delighted, but I'm honored to welcome, as an adult program, for the first time in my recollection anyway, the Essex Fire Engine Company #1 to our Essex Library stage with a talk about fire safety in honor of Fire Safety Week, but knowing the sounds of fire safety and fire alarms. So with that, I would like to just give you a couple of housekeeping rules. Please do feel free to type your questions in the chat as you go through, and we will get to all of them after the presentation. If you would mind keeping your cameras off and your microphones muted during the presentation, we'll preserve that special bandwidth because we are recording the presentation tonight, and we will share it on the Essex Library's YouTube channel in a day or so. And with that, I will turn it over to tonight's host, Tatiana Sitt, and co-host Aaron Schumacher. Oh, sorry, I am going to launch a poll. I completely forgot. I have a poll that the State Library asks me to ask you how many people are watching your screen tonight so that I can give them adequate attendance records. So if you'll let me know how many people are watching tonight's presentation with you, we'll get that out of the way, and then Tatiana and Aaron can proceed with all the valuable information. And so that looks like we're all set. Thank you very much for your help with that. We'll get that out of the way. All right, off you go.
Thank you, Anne, for the introduction. Again, my name is Tatiana. I'm a firefighter with the Essex Fire Department. Tonight, we also have Deputy Chief Aaron Schumacher, and today we're going to present our presentation on learn the sounds of fire safety. So let's get this going here. And hopefully you can all see everything that you need to see. So let's go here. Sorry, technical issue here. There we go. All right. So learning the sounds of fire safety. So the goals tonight of our talk tonight, we briefly want to talk about the history of Fire Prevention Week because that is very important. We'll cover smoke alarms, detectors, fire alarms. We're going to talk to you about calling 911. Some additional safety tips. And as Anne mentioned, we're also going to take Q&As at the end of the talk. Please feel free to write things in the chat as well. And then we can answer questions at the end. Note, we will be playing sounds of the different alarms as well as videos. So please consider your sound settings. And I speak from experience to say that if you have animals in the room, they may not like the alarms. So just be prepared. So what is Fire Prevention Week? It was established in 1925 by President Calvin Coolidge, and it was done so, it's always observed in the first week of October in remembrance of the Great Chicago Fire. So this fire started the 8th of October in 1871, and as you can see here, some of the statistics, it was a pretty bad fire, and it raged for 2 days. And Fire Prevention Week is actually the longest running public health observance in our country. So we have this video here. Bear with me. We don't have time to watch the whole thing, but the clip down here, the link down here is available if you want to watch it. This just is to give you a little bit of history about the Chicago Fire and about Fire Prevention Week.
The Great Chicago Fire started the evening of Sunday, October 8, 1871, and burned until the morning of Tuesday, October 10th. It spread quickly to the north and east, crossing the river, and finally destroying an area of the city 4 miles long and 1 mile wide. The fire killed an estimated 300 people and left 100,000 people homeless. Roughly 1/3 of the city lay in ruins. Those who survived the Great Chicago Fire never forgot what they'd been through. The blaze produced countless tales of bravery and heroism, but the fire also changed the way that firefighters and public officials thought about fire safety.
Sorry, we're just going to scooch forward a little bit here.
With Casey Grant from the National Fire Protection Association. So how did the fire really start, Casey?
In the case of the Great Chicago Fire, there was a lot of fanfare over Mrs. O'Leary's cow kicking over the lantern.
The legend is that Mrs. O'Leary's cow in a barn kicked over a lantern, and that caused the entire fire. And poor Mrs. O'Leary and her family had their lives ruined because of this.
We do know that the fire started at that location, but how it started, the official cause of that fire is unknown.
We do know there was a terrible drought. The entire city was made of wood.
Not just the buildings, but sidewalks.
Right.
Sawdust was even used to try to help control the dust in the roads. It really created a very flammable situation.
It was really a disaster waiting to happen.
So the fire started on that Sunday evening. The conditions, weather-wise, were not good.
Right, hot and windy, right?
That's right. They actually had several fires in the days and weeks preceding, including a very major fire. I believe it was the day before.
The day before, and it exhausted all of the firefighters.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
By the time they were set up and really began to fight this fire, it had already gotten tremendous headway and was sweeping through the neighborhoods, and they were really outgunned from the very beginning.
Right, because the firefighters at the time, of course, didn't have fancy fire engines and...
Well, they had horse-drawn
yeah.
steamers
Right.
using coal to run the pumps. It was a much different technology than what we have today.
There are many diary entries and letters written by people who survived that fire that day. People described looking up and it was almost beautiful in a horrifying way, that they would look up at the sky and it almost looked like it was filled with fireflies or fireworks. And those were these embers that were being driven by the wind and setting fires all over the city.
Right, and from the standpoint of the firefighters, they can make a stand and try to have a line of defense at the river or wherever, but the embers are just blowing right over them and they can't keep up with it.
Chicago fire, why it is really the most famous fire in American history, is because of how it has changed the way we build cities.
We build our cities today with fire protection in mind, and people don't even realize it. The width of streets are put in not only for convenience of vehicles and so forth, but as fire breaks.
Right.
They're natural fire breaks. The exterior of the buildings are much more fire resistant in terms of design. We want to keep fires confined to the building of origin if it does occur, and not spread from building to building to building like we've seen in some of these great fires.
So tell me about Fire Prevention Week.
Fire Prevention Week is celebrated every year in the beginning of October in recognition of the noteworthy disaster that happened in Chicago. And we look at Fire Prevention Week as an important chance to remind ourselves of the importance of fire safety for everybody. Fire safety is everyone's business.
And with that introduction of the Fire Safety Week or Fire Prevention Week, I'm going to hand it over to Aaron for a little bit to talk about smoke alarms, fire alarms, smoke detectors.
Great, thanks, Tatiana. So when everyone thinks of kind of smoke alarms, fire alarms, and smoke detectors, we kind of all think that they're the same thing. And basically for our purposes, they kind of are, but there's some minor details that separate them that some people might be interested. So when you think of a smoke alarm and a fire alarm, that's kind of what you think about, like you have in your house, in your bedroom, in your kitchen, in your hallway. Basically, that has a combination of some sort of detector that's looking for the smoke or the fire products, and also has the ability to make the noise to alert you that something's going on in your house. When you start to talk about something like just a smoke detector or just an alarm, that would be something that you see more of in like a commercial building, like a school or at the town hall, or even if we were at the library, in those type of buildings, or a shopping center, something like that. But in that kind of setting, you would have something that would be a smoke detector, which would be a piece of equipment that you might see on the ceiling that's just looking for the smoke. And then you would have an annunciator or a separate box that would be mounted on the wall that is like the flashing light that you see that goes off, or the box that makes the loud annoying noise that tells you something's wrong. And then the fire alarm system is what you'd see in a commercial building, and that kind of puts all those pieces together. So that puts the detector that looks for the fire, the alarm that lets you know that there's something wrong. That puts those together. They go through like a control panel that's mounted kind of in your like utility closet or maybe in the basement, somewhere out of sight, that analyzes the signal, processes it, and a lot of those also have the ability to reach out to a monitoring system to automatically alert the fire department. So we might get automatically called out to a residence or a commercial building versus you having to hear the noise and then call for us. So when it comes to the detectors that most people are probably interested in, we're talking about tonight, there's two kinds that you might have in your home. There's an ionization and photoelectric. Basically, it just talks about the sensors, and I think Tatiana has some slides we can look at in a minute. They kind of further explain those. But those are basically the two common ones that you're going to see in your home. You might also see a combination fire alarm, smoke detector, and CO. There's a lot of those available now, which are definitely good to have. And if you don't have, you should have, you should think about either having one that does a combination or having one of each. Either way, you should think about having both in your homes. So I don't think did I miss anything on that one, Tatiana, or we're good?
No, you're good.
Okay, so the first kind of smoke detector or smoke alarm, kind of the basic house one, whatever term you'd like to use, that you have is the ionization. Basically, the way that works is there's an electrical charge, and the detector is looking for a change in the voltage, and that's caused by when the smoke and the products of the fire, the heat and the smoke get in between the two sensors, and they disrupt the flow of electrons, basically disrupting the circuit, and it can see that there's some sort of reduction in the flow, and then it sets off the alarm, and that makes the annoying noise or alerts you that something's going on. Some issues you have with these is you could also be set off by dust or a spider or construction debris that you might have in your house. So you never know. They could be set off by other products that breaks that circuit. But basically that's how those type work. The next option is the photoelectric. Basically the same concept, except they're using a beam of light. So it's looking for the products of combustion, either the smoke or the different particles that might be in the air, to break that beam of light. And when the sensor no longer sees the light, it activates the alarm and alerts you that something's going on in your house. Or there could just be that there's some dust and you need to go check it out. But either way, it alerts you and you should make an action to see what's going on. So on the next one, we can talk about some of the common problems you might have with your detectors or your smoke alarms in your house. If you hear, maybe Tatiana can play the first sound, and we'll talk about that. But this is the 3 beep. So this is going to be like you have smoke or something that's caused the alarm to activate. So that's going to be a pretty loud, annoying noise. It's definitely going to get your attention. A lot of the newer models will also talk to you. So you may get, 3 beeps, and then it might say fire, fire, or something like that. Some of them have a little bit different tones to the beeps, but basically you're going to recognize it's going to be a very loud noise meant to grab your attention, and it may or may not talk to you. So if you hear that, you definitely want to, get up, see what's going on, see if there's any smoke, any fire, analyze the situation, see if it's maybe it was set off by some dust and maybe you don't have an emergency, or maybe you're not sure. And if you're not sure, definitely give us a call. If your alarm went off and you don't think it's dust, give us a call. We're more than happy to come out, help you check it out, go through your house or your condo or apartment or wherever you live and really give it the once over and make sure that there's nothing going on. Because you might get up and think, oh, my alarm's going off again, and then you shut it off, you unplug it, and then you realize that you know, it was going off because there was a fire in your basement or your attic or someplace you didn't look. So if you hear that noise, you definitely want to get up, give your property the, you know, the full once over. And if you have any questions, definitely call us. We're more than happy to come out. But then the next noise Tatiana will play, this is kind of like the error message. You can kind of think about it as. So this is kind of like that, you kind of think of it as the error message. It's kind of the quiet chirp. It's kind of that noise you hear when you're sitting around at home at night, you know, maybe watching TV or reading a book, and you hear that annoying chirp and you can't really figure out where it's coming from. But that's one of your detectors or alarms telling you that it has some sort of problem. It could be a low battery. It could be the detector's reached the end of its life. It could be a number of other issues that it's having. A lot of them will chirp in a certain series to alert you of what the problem is. And if you look on the back of the detector, there's usually a label with some sort of language that will tell you like 3 beeps is low battery, 4 beeps is end of life, 5 beeps could be error. But there's usually a kind of a code chart on the back of them. But if you hear that noise, you're definitely going to want to, you know, track down which detector it is. You're going to want to check the date on it, check when you replace the battery. And I think Tatiana is going to cover that information a little later on, kind of the standards for that. But if you hear those chirps, the message is that you want to kind of get up, see if you can check what's going on with the detector. And that's not necessarily a reason to, you know, call 911. I would say if you hear the chirps and you have a question about why it's chirping, definitely still reach out to us at the fire department. You're welcome to call, you know, kind of our non-emergency line, or you're welcome to reach out to John Planis, who's the town fire marshal, and we'd be happy to come out and help you, you know, kind of troubleshoot the issue or help you with changing the batteries or replacing the detector or whatever you might need. But if you hear the 3 loud beeps that we heard first and you have any questions, definitely call us on the 911 line, because we're going to want to come out and make sure that your property's safe for the time being. So the last thing is, you know, most of the time your alarms are going to be silent. You're not going to hear anything from them. They kind of sit on the wall, out of sight, out of mind. A couple of things to keep in mind is we still want to be checking them to make sure they're operating properly. And you can see on this picture that Tatiana's put up there for us, it shows them hardwired in. So that kind of brings home another thought that we can think about for a minute is, if you hear your alarms going off, it might not necessarily be the one you're hearing that's triggered it. It could be one that's in your basement or in a attic or a crawl space or a different alarm. A lot of the systems now are wired together. So it's kind of important to know your system, you know, do a little research ahead of time about, you know, is your system just individual detectors in each room? Are they wired together? Are they wired together and then they go to one of those alarm panels that automatically calls 911? If you have like a monitoring system through like ADT or through another private company, or are they, you know, some sort of system where a more standalone system where you need to alert us as the fire department to come out and check it out for you. So when we get to the end, if you guys have any questions on things you've heard with your detectors or just any general maintenance questions, feel free to ask them. We'll be happy to help you out or point you in the right direction. And if you ever have any questions about what the sounds mean, or, you know, if you should call or not call, definitely err on the side of the caution and call 911, because we're more than happy to come out and help you versus see you have a problem and silence it and move on. So by all means, reach out if you have any questions, and I'll turn it back over to Tatiana.
Thank you, Aaron. All right, so as Aaron mentioned, you want to make sure you check your smoke alarms regularly. There should actually be a date of manufacture on the back of your, or somewhere on your smoke alarm. So you want to make sure that it's no older than 10 years, and then replace it if it hasn't needed to be replaced in the first, in the first 10 years. And you also want to, as Aaron mentioned, you want to test the smoke alarms regularly. So the suggestion is test at least once a month by pushing the test button, which is in different locations on different smoke alarms, but you should be able to easily find that. Here's a little catchy phrase: hear the beep when you sleep. So you want to make sure that you have your smoke detectors not only in your bedroom, but just outside your bedroom. You want to make sure that you have it on every floor of your dwelling, whether that's 1 floor, 2 floors, 5 floors. And then this is kind of a graphic of an apartment complex. Just make sure that your apartment complex, if you're living in one, does have fire alarms or smoke alarms where they should be. You can also, as Erin mentioned, you can make sure that they can be interconnected. So if one goes off in your basement and you sleep 2 or 3 stories above that, then you'll be alerted right away, which can be very helpful. Cooking incidents. So I'm sure many of us have had this happen when we're cooking and the smoke alarm goes off. One way to avoid this is to try to keep your smoke detector at least 10 feet away from your cooking gadget. And then also, if you do have a fire, let's say in your oven, shut the door. You leave your house and call 911, and we'll always be happy to come out and help. That's what we're here for. And then just keep in mind that some people, especially children, some older adults, may need help to wake up. So make sure that someone will wake them up if the smoke alarm does sound. And there are actually smoke alarms for the hearing impaired. So these are just 2 examples. So here someone's setting up a smoke detector that has a light in it, so that someone who's hearing impaired will notice the light is going off and thus know that the smoke alarm is going off. Alternatively, or in addition to that, there's another device that can be hooked up to a light, as well as to a device that makes the pillow vibrate when they're sleeping, so that they know that there is a problem. Then there's also the sprinkler system. So some homes have it, some apartment complexes have it, some don't, but they are helpful in that they can keep fires small, and they can protect lives by allowing more time for people to escape. And they actually also help us as firefighters, because they'll reduce the smoke, so it'll be easier for us to see. They'll reduce the flame somewhat, and even the heat produced during a fire, which is very helpful, again, from our perspective. And this is just a tidbit of information that installing sprinklers and smoke alarms in your home can increase your chance of surviving a fire by more than 82%, which is pretty impressive. And this is just a little diagram kind of showing here. There's your sprinkler system. There's a couch on fire, and it'll give extra time for people to exit. And just remember, Erin touched on this, but you want to take each alarm seriously, whether that's a chirp, or if it's the actual fire alarm going on. And you want to take them seriously whether you're at home or at work or shopping, anywhere. You just take it very seriously. We would rather be called out and have it be, some small problem than not be called out and have a larger problem in the end and not be able to help as much as we could have. So now we're going to just talk about carbon monoxide as well. Our homes hopefully do have carbon monoxide detectors. So what is it? It's actually a gas that has no taste, no smell, and it's invisible. So kind of hard to detect. And it can come from incomplete burning of fossil fuels, so gasoline, wood, kerosene. You can come from idling vehicles, whether if it's in your garage or if it's near an open window in your house. And it can come from improperly vented heating appliances and generators. So how can it enter a home? You may remember, not this last August, but the year before that, I believe we had a pretty big storm here. And a number of us lost power for days on end. And thankfully, some people had generators, which is very helpful. But what isn't necessarily helpful is having your generator, let's say, closer to your window than it should be, because then you're going to get the carbon monoxide that is produced by your generator come inside your home, and hopefully if you have an alarm, the alarm will go off. So try to make sure you have enough space between where your generator is located and your home in order for that not to be an issue. So you obviously don't want to keep it inside. You don't want to keep it in your garage, no enclosed spaces. And how can it enter your home? So here is your dryer, and here's your dryer vent. And if it's snowing and the snow blocks off your dryer vent, that's one way carbon monoxide can enter your home. And even something as simple as something that's blocking your chimney can also prevent carbon monoxide from exiting your home. And so there's a buildup that can be a buildup in your home. So similar to what Erin was saying about the smoke alarms, there are multiple different carbon monoxide alarms, even ones that you can just plug into your outlet. So a difference here is that the carbon monoxide alarm has 4 beeps and not 3 beeps. It also chirps when the battery needs replacement or at the end of a life. And similarly to what Erin said about the smoke detectors, silence, it can mean it's good, or it could mean it's a dead alarm. So you just want to make sure that you test it again monthly to make sure that everything is working properly. And the placement of these carbon monoxide detectors is very similar to the smoke detectors. You want to place them on every floor that you have, preferably near bedrooms, in bedrooms, and as well as with the smoke alarms, they can be linked. So if one detector goes off, all detectors go off. And just so that you're aware, carbon monoxide poisoning, these are some of the symptoms. So drowsiness, nausea, headache, it can be fatal if you don't know what's going on. If you do hear the carbon monoxide alarm, make sure that you get out or you get fresh air immediately, because this will help with any symptoms of the carbon monoxide poisoning. And of course, call us because we can help you get rid of the carbon monoxide in your home. Basically by pushing it out or in with very large fans. We can meter, so we have special meters that can tell us what the levels are in your home as well, just to make sure that everyone is safe. So this is just a little clip here to help you remember the language of your alarms.
Hi, my name is Patrick with Poudre Fire Authority here in Fort Collins with a few quick tips on smoke alarms and carbon monoxide alarms. Did you realize that each alarm has its own distinct sound? A smoke alarm has 3 beeps. While a carbon monoxide alarm has 4 beeps. If at any time you are in a building and an alarm activates, we urge you to evacuate and call 911. Additionally, if your alarm's battery is low, it will chirp approximately every 15 to 30 seconds to let you know. If you have any questions regarding alarms or other
going from that clip, going into calling 911. So make sure that all the members of your household know how to call 911 and in what situations to call 911. Do teach your children the address, your home address, even apartment number. That's obviously very helpful. And we always appreciate more identifying information. Sometimes in town, it can be hard to find various addresses based on numbering, or if there's a long driveway and there's multiple houses off that driveway, some of the numbering systems aren't necessarily sequential. And then especially at night, it can be a little challenging finding homes sometimes. So any more identifying information you can give us is super helpful. Like, at the end of this driveway, we are the last house on the right, or there's a gigantic palm tree to the left of our house. So things like that are also very helpful, obviously in conjunction with your address. And another thing that's super helpful are visible house numbers. You may think this is something self-explanatory, but it's not always the case that houses have visible house numbers, whether it's reflective numbers on your mailbox or very distinct numbers on your house. If your house isn't well lit, sometimes it can be hard to see those numbers. So those are also very helpful tips for us and for you. And then if we do enter your house and there is a fire, we may be a little loud. That's what we do. Sometimes it can be hard for us to hear in our face masks. So we are there to help and make sure that everyone is safe. And do our job. So we may be a little loud, but it's just part of the situation. And then just some additional safety tips that we wanted to bring up. So candle safety, especially now, coming into the holiday season. I realize it's only October and we just started fall, but I'm just gonna, pretend it's December for a moment and all the holidays are starting. Please consider not putting candles near your beds or falling asleep with candles on or in your bathrooms, and just be aware of children and pets and candles. Not necessarily the best combination. Always extinguish your candles before you leave your house or leave the room, or it's just going to be unattended. And try to keep at least 12 inches around your candles free from anything flammable. And I should also say, always keep your hair away from candles as well, because that can be a problem. And when we were in school, we learned the stop, drop, and roll. And yes, it is still very applicable. So hopefully this never happens to anybody, but if you do catch fire for any reason, do stop, do drop, cover your face, and roll to make sure that you are able to extinguish that fire. And here we have one last video for you. It's kind of dramatic. It's very important to close your doors before you go to sleep. And this video will hopefully show you why that is important. And we're just gonna skip the introduction here a little bit. Basically what's going on is there's a laboratory called UL, and they do a lot of research on different fire scenarios, different fires, conditions, all in the name of research in order to help not only firefighters, but citizens, as well as building design and things like that. So they're a very great resource to see and to teach from their videos. So this video basically has a number of citizens, and they've gone to this organization, UL. And the scenario that you're going to see here is UL has built a house just like any other house. And they're going to have a scenario where they're going to start a fire. One door is going to be open to a bedroom and one door is going to be closed to a bedroom. And just think about what do you do at your home? Do you close your doors? Do you open your doors? Why? Is there a reason for it? Just keep that in mind while you're reading this, or excuse me, while you're watching this.
A fire? No.
We told you that you'd be coming here today for discussion, but what we didn't tell you is that there is also a demonstration that we want to show you. Sound good? I want to introduce you to Steve, the director of the UL Firefighter Safety Research Institute. I'll let Steve take it away.
Welcome. My job is to lead a team of people that study how fire grows and spreads so we can keep you safe. Here at the Delaware County Emergency Services Training Center, we essentially turn this place into a laboratory. We've got several structures around here that we build to simulate where you live. And one of those structures is right here behind me. What I want you to do is I want to take you inside here, and I want you to see how this looks like your home. And then once we get you outside, we're going to go ahead and recreate what would happen if there was a fire in this structure right here. Look pretty normal? Yeah, got some furnishings. You'll notice the difference down here as we walk down. This bedroom door will be closed, and the one at the end of the hall will be open. And what I want you to do is pay attention to the comparison of the two of those and think about you and your family trying to survive this fire. All right, we just hit the button. We have ignition.
Oh boy, there she goes. Oh man, that is scary.
It's scary, right?
It's really frightening.
Look, we have smoke coming out over here already.
Smoke's coming out.
What a lot of people don't realize is that the furnishings that are in our homes today are made of synthetic materials. So they burn so much faster than your old natural cotton-filled furnishings used to be. The statistics that we've seen through our research is in about 40 years ago, you had about 17 minutes to get out of your house after the smoke alarm sounded. Now you have less than 3 minutes.
Holy crap. See, this is the things that we were. Whoa. Can you feel that?
How can you survive that?
Seriously, that is insane.
All right, go ahead, knock it down. All right, as you remember, closed door on the left, open door on the right. And you can see the dramatic difference between the two with the simple closed door.
Impressive.
We want people to be as prepared as possible and understand the importance and how little time you have and what that simple barrier can provide to you and your family should you have a fire. I want you guys to throw some hard hats on and some safety glasses and at least poke your heads in the windows, or you can even walk in the hallway if you want.
Give me a word or phrase to describe what you just saw.
Anxiety.
Frightening.
Terrifying. I really didn't expect anything like this.
I'll ask you one last time. In the event of a fire, are you safer sleeping with the doors open or the doors closed?
Without a doubt, the door closed.
Definitely with the doors closed, and from now on, the doors will be shut at night.
Definitely closed.
Closed.
Definitely closed. And I'm surprised by it.
It's always great to be able to get the message out when we can take our research and get it out into the community to change behavior with the message of close before you doze. It feels great, and hopefully we can save lives.
If there was one bit of advice that you could give friends or family today, what would it be?
Close before you doze.
Close before you doze.
Close before you doze. Close before you doze.
Close before you doze.
The key fire safety messages we want people to have are, one, have working smoke alarms in every level of your home, inside and outside every sleeping room. We want everybody to have an escape plan. Should you have a fire, you should know how to get out quickly. And if you can't get out quickly, having a closed door between you and where that fire is critical to your survival.
So with that dramatic and very important video there, we're just gonna kind of wrap up a little bit and talk to you, just kind of give a summary here. So just remember your smoke detectors will give you 3 beeps. Your carbon monoxide alarms will give you 4 beeps. Please test them monthly. And have them placed inside and outside every bedroom, and do replace them at least every 10 years. And please don't disable them. Like if there is a problem hopefully we could help, or the fire marshal could help. We want to be able to help you, and having that system up and running the way it should be will help you definitely, and then us as well, in order to get us to you much more quickly. Also know the symptoms of carbon monoxide poisoning. Remember generator placement. Keep that item-free zone at least 12 inches for candles. Stop, drop, and roll is still very relevant. And don't forget, close before you doze. So with that, we're kind of gonna wrap up a little bit. We do have a fire prevention email. It's fireprevention@essexctfd.org. Please do reach out to us. We would like to hear from you. What would you like to learn more about? We would like to have these talks more often, potentially quarterly. And we want to make sure that we're covering topics or questions that you have that are important to our community in order to keep our community safe. Please ask us questions, or if you have any ideas, any way you would, which would help engage the fire department and the community in fire prevention work. And also, you're more than welcome to join us. We are a volunteer organization since 1883. Since 1833. And we're always looking for more members. You don't have to have experience. I started almost 2 years ago with no experience whatsoever. I'm now a trained interior firefighter. I'm also an EMT. So, the fire department does support its members in trying to help the community at large. Erin has been with the department 15 years. There are people that have been with the department for 40 years. It's a whole range of experiences and people, and it's a really good environment. And we're all there to help the community. So if you feel like you want to help the community in this way, please, feel free to reach out to us at info@essexctfd.org. And if you don't feel like firefighting is your thing, that's not a problem. We have other jobs or other positions that we would love help with. And with that, we will take any questions that you have, if there were questions in the chat, and hopefully can help us with that.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Tatiana and Erin, for just a boatload of really seriously valuable information. I was very, very happy to have that. We do have a quick poll that I would like the audience to respond to, if they would, while we go through the first question, which is, the person wrote in and said, I'm curious what experience the fire company has with residential sprinklers, and are there recommended systems?
I might let Erin take this question.
Yeah, so I can take that. I don't know of, so I also work as a civil engineer for my day job. I don't know of any specifically that are installed in the town of Essex. I'd have to defer to the fire marshal's office on that to know if we have any in town. But basically, a residential system, they are out there. They're not constructed to the same standard that you would see in like a commercial building. So when you go into a commercial building, like at the school or a shopping center, or like a public building like the library, you would most likely see a system that has steel pipes and a lot of heads to it, and it's a more robust system. A residential system is usually smaller, made out of like PVC piping, and basically it's made just to contain the fire as much as possible to the area of origin. And they really do help by us as the department a lot of time. If you have a larger house, or maybe live further out, in Essex we have some areas that are hydranted, which is easy for us to get water, or relatively easy. Other areas of town, we might not have a hydrant, or you could be very far out, or even a long extended driveway might take us extra time to lay hose. That system would just provide, basically it provides a little trickle onto the fire that kind of keeps it under control while we're waiting. But I'm sorry, I don't have a specific answer for you if we have any in town. I don't know about that. But if you're really interested, send us a follow-up email with your contact information, and we can reach out to the fire marshal and get that information for you.
That's great. Just a quick follow-up, since you're an engineer, is there anything happening that you know of that would require new residences to have a sprinkler system in them in terms of coding, or, the codes, residential codes, building codes?
So I'm not familiar with any code changes that are coming now. I would defer to the fire marshal on those codes to begin as well. I do know that some towns that are more progressive do have requirements depending on where you live for further out in non-hydrated areas. But I think we'd all be hopeful in the fire service that maybe someday this technology would become more prevalent and more widely used, because it's definitely a good thing to consider.
Sure. Yeah, it sounds like it could be a very valuable thing. So switching gears a bit to having, I know, had the fire company show up at my house years and years ago, and it turned out there was a spider in my smoke detector. How do you recommend the best way to clean an ionization detector, an ionization type detector, without actually then setting it off?
Yeah, so I think you can definitely just kind of dust them out. If you got one of those dusters on a stick, maybe to dust around them, or if you kind of take them down every once in a while and just give them a little shake or a little blow off just to keep the dust off of them, that definitely helps. And if you find, they're pretty inexpensive now to replace the detectors, versus the nuisance of always having to have it go off and bother you. So if you do find that you have an older one, maybe it's only 8 years old or 6 years old, but it might be time just to to upgrade it or replace it with a newer model to kind of save you some of that hassle.
Sure, makes very
Definitely,
good sense.
definitely err on the side of caution and replace them a little early if that's the case.
Yeah.
And
Well,
by all means, we're more than happy to come out. We would rather come out and help you with a little dust or a spider problem than come out and see your house burned down, or one of your family members or a pet or something hurt.
Right, you bet. Perfect sense. So it segues immediately to my next question is, can you give us a ballpark of what a CO and smoke and fire detectors cost these days? And if are they all the kind of thing that you could self-install, or do you need to have somebody come in to install them for you?
So I think that would depend on your system. So basically, if you have like an alarm system that's monitored, those are definitely going to be a little more expensive, and you would want to reach out to whoever monitors your system to kind of come out and maintain it. And they would probably have a program, probably like a yearly, where they come out and inspect it and make sure that it's working properly for you. If it's something that you're going to pick up from Home Depot or Lowe's or Essex Hardware or Walmart, wherever you want to go, they run the gamut. You can get a basic model that you put up with 2 screws and a 9-volt battery for maybe less than $20. Okay. Or you could get they have all these smart detectors now that will send alerts to your cell phones.
Sure.
Hook up to your Wi-Fi that could be more expensive, $100 plus.
Right, the more smart
Yeah.
system.
Yeah, so there's all kinds of different systems.
Sorry, I'm hearing the alarm go off. You all need to leave.
So sorry for the distraction, but
no, that's all right. No, yeah. I can hear it ringing downtown. So, and it's the second one in about 45 minutes. So I hope it's not something really serious or at all serious. So I just a couple more questions, if you'll indulge me. How many calls does the Essex Fire Engine Company #1 respond to in a year, if you have an idea?
So we normally do about 700 responses a year. Mm-hmm. About 30% of those are fire alarm, car accident, rescue type calls. The other 70% are first responder medical type work. So a lot of people don't know, but if you call for 911 that someone's not feeling well in your home, depending on what medical issue you get, you may get one of our first responders to come out to assist you while you're waiting for the ambulance. But there's different rules that go into that, but basically about 700 responses, but 70% of those are for medical versus the fire side of things.
Got it. And then again, how many volunteers are currently volunteering for you?
So I want to say we have between about 45 and 50 volunteers right now. But we're always, like Tatiana said, we're always looking for more help. We need people that do all kinds of things. We have a lot of, office style work. To anyone that has a skill, we have a job that you could do. And we're more than happy to put people through training, but we're always looking for more volunteers for sure.
Perfect. And I'll post the email address for folks who would like to contact you if they have time to give, even if it's what kind of time are you looking for? I know it would depend on the type of task that they would be put to, but anything from 20 hours a year to answering 700 calls, it sounds like.
Yeah, so I think people give what they can, some people can give 4 nights a week and that's their commitment. Other people can come once a month or once every couple months. We do have some kind of minimum requirements to be a member, but if you're interested in that, definitely reach out and come talk to us, because maybe you just want to work with us on some things and not necessarily be a full member. We're always willing to talk and work with people. So if you have any interest at all, definitely reach out and we can work out the details.
Great. Okay. Thank you very much. An audience member, I don't know if you see it in the chat, says, very grateful for all you all do. And I can second that with very heartfelt sincerity. I hope I never have to have a 911, make a 911 call, but I feel very secure in knowing that you guys are there waiting to answer it. So thank you very, very much. And I can hear the sirens now. So I'm going to let you go and please stay safe. And thank you very much, both Tatiana and Aaron, for presenting really great and valuable information tonight. Take care.
Thank you. And thanks for being able to, give us the opportunity to work together with the library in order to do this. And thank you all for taking the time to come and join us.
Good night, all.